Hi, welcome back. In this section, we'll be looking at other HDFS commands which are pretty much useful while operating in HDFS. Let's first look at how to copy or put a file from your local file system to your HDFS file system, or HDFS I would say. So let me take a file. For example, we have something called wc input file.txt. Okay, I have this file and let me try to put this particular file from my local file system to HDFS. So in order to put that particular file, I have something called Hadoop space fs hyphen put your local file with entire path. Now that I am taking it from my home directory or the present working directory, so I didn't give the entire path of my local file system, rather I had given only the file name. wc input file.txt to your user training Hadoop training path which we had created earlier. So when I give that, it should put this into this particular path. Yeah, I have my file here, right? So I'll just try to remove it and again use some other command to put my file from your local file system to HDFS. I'll just use some rm command to remove the file. Now rather than using put command, I use something called copy from local. Okay, so copy from local would also copy my file from local file system to your HDFS path. So fine, okay, we removed something called pig input. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll remove this. Fine. Okay, now I'm copying wc input file.txt to user training Hadoop training path. When I copy that from my local, yes, it's done. And let's try to list down what are all the files that are present in this particular directory. Yeah, so it should, your wc input file.txt should be there. Let's again remove that and try to move from your local file system to your HDFS path. I'll use something called move from local. Okay, let's see the difference, how different it is from local file system. Yeah, so when I list my user training Hadoop training path, of course it would be definitely there, but sorry, ls-ltr wc input file.txt will give me no such file or directory, because we have moved it from your local to HDFS. Earlier I have used something called copy from local, so it will just copy it from local directory rather than moving it. Yeah, so now I wanted to get this particular file, which is wc input file.txt, from my HDFS path to local file system. So I would use something called Hadoop space fs hyphen get this particular file to my home training path, which is my current, which is my present working directory. So when I issue my ls-ltr command again, it would list me the file because I had got it from my HDFS path. Let's try to remove this particular file and use something called copy to local, again, which would behave the same thing like get command, copy to local. Yeah, so when I list my file, it should be there, right? So we have another thing called move to local, which would move the file from HDFS to local directory, right? Now that we have seen how to copy a file from your local file system to your Hadoop distributed file system using using put command, copy from local and move from local, we have also seen how to remove a file, and then we have seen how to move to local directory from your HDFS path using your get command, move from local, and we also have something get command, copy to local, and we have also have move to local. which would behave same like move from local, right? And we have something called statistic command. Yeah, for that I would simply give fs space stat and my file name in my HDFS, which is this particular file. And I give, it would give me when this particular file had been last accessed or last created. If you could see here, if this particular file has been last accessed or created on 1745, which is on 2014-05-17. So in order to get those statistics, you'll use something called -stat command. Okay, let me go through one more command like okay, fine. In our Linux introduction to Linux video, we have seen how to zip a particular file. For example, if you wanted to zip a particular file like wc input file.txt, I use something called gzip. Okay, gzip space file name. This would zip my contents. That means it would compress the contents of this particular file and we'll get an extension called .gz. Okay, so when I try to cat that particular file, I'll not be able to understand anything because it's in compressed it's in local file system, right? So I use something like cat. I'll not be able to understand anything because it has been compressed. Now let's try to put this particular file into HDFS. Put this file into our user training Hadoop training path. Yeah, so I've put that particular file there, right? And I'm trying to list. Okay, and I'm trying to list that particular path. I'll get all the files that are present in this particular path. So when I use something called Hadoop space fs hyphen txt, okay, and this particular file name, there will be something called snappy loader. Snappy is something, a compression, default compression technique in Hadoop. Okay, that will be loaded, that library will be loaded, and it will display the actual contents of my file, of my compressed file. When you use something called -txt, you will be able to see even if the file is compressed, right? That's the advantage of -txt command in Hadoop. Okay, so now that we have covered most of the commands that are available in HDFS, now let's discuss about one most important command in HDFS, which is nothing but setrep command. Like I discussed during installation of Hadoop, if you use something like and there is something called a replication factor, which is default by 3, where we have set that replication factor to 1 in our core-site.xml, right? So I already told that you can either increase or decrease the replication factor of your file or directory in HDFS. If you could see here, this particular file has a replication factor of 1 because in our core-site.xml we have set the replication factor to 1 for all the files in HDFS, so it has a default replication factor of 1. Okay, now I wanted to increase the replication factor of this particular file. Okay, so I use something called setrep command. Yeah, and I use something called, I wanted to increase it to 3 -r and the file name. Okay, so my replication has been set to 3 for this particular file. When I do something called Hadoop space ls, now I could see that my replication got set to 3 because I had increased it using setrep command. I can also decrease it using setrep command by using something called similar thing. I'll just use 2, so my replication factor would be set to 2. Yeah, so this is again one important command available in Hadoop, which can be basically used to either increase or decrease the replication factor of files present in HDFS. Yeah, so these are the most important commands that are available in HDFS. Yeah, hope this particular session is very much useful to you to operate on HDFS, and thanks a lot for watching these videos. Bye bye.